In today's video, we're going to talk about how to appear as a tourist with your drone and fly internationally without being red flagged at customs going into another country. Welcome back to the channel. Over 10 years experience and 75 million views, 200,000 subscribers. And today I'm here and I'm happy to tell you some tips on your next international trip. If you decide to take that, this video is going to be great information for people who are about to book that ticket or make that trip for next year. The end of the year at 2024 is almost here and we're almost in the fourth quarter of the year. But I made some decisions this year on which drone I was going to take based on the current political climate, the different wars happening around the world, the sort of specter of FPV that's happening with a lot of different countries like Ukraine and other countries using FPV drones now for nefarious activities and military activities. So one of the things you have to kind of take in consideration when you decide to travel abroad with any type of different drone, all of the drones out there that you can buy all do different things. And my goal on my trip was to look like a tourist as much as possible because, well, I'm there to see all the sights, taste all the foods, see all the vistas, and occasionally get that drone shot while still kind of looking like a tourist without putting FPV goggles on and having something that, you know, in authorities' eyes might seem a little more suspicious. And I don't want to appear suspicious. And I know I look American, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I don't want to raise any red flags with the authorities or even just people standing by that are kind of watching what I'm doing with my little drone. Now, this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to look like a tourist. I mean, all these videos on YouTube, when you're traveling abroad, they try to tell you how to blend in and, be like the Italians or be like the French. The thing is that you're not going to blend in. They're going to know you're American. They can look at you and tell your mannerisms, the way you speak, the first words out of your mouth, maybe the food that you choose or the way that you order off the menu, the way you say things. They're just going to know, okay? So we did a poll back about a month ago on our channel now before our trip, and we wanted to let you guys decide which drone we were going to take on our trip. Was it the DJI Mini 4K, which is about $300? It gets 4K at 30 frames per second, and the video looks pretty good. Previous to that, we did a review on the Fimi Mini 3 4K right here. It is a little sub 250 drone, and that's what I'm going to recommend that you guys take overseas, whether it's the DJI Mini 4K, the Mini 4, the Mini 3, something that's under 250 grams, preferably a foldable drone, and it will make it easier to pack and carry with your luggage. If not the DJI Mini 4K or the Mini 4 or the Mini 3 or the Fimi 3 4K, you could also take something like the Hover Air X1 Pro, which I have here. We're going to review that one coming up on the channel, and this is a very selfie, touristy looking little drone. And never before on the channel have I really been concerned with kind of taking what we would consider like a touristy looking drone with me on a trip overseas. But again, given the current wars happening, proxy wars, and how political FPV drones have become in the past 6 months, it sort of dawned on me right before our trip. And I have good news to report from our trip. We went to 4 different countries with our Fimi Mini 4K, and we made it back. We sailed through customs in the UK, Italy, United States, and Canada without my bag ever being pulled to the side, and they give you that look and then they say, "Sir, is this your bag?" You know you've heard it before with a laptop or an iPad or one of your drones. with a much larger battery. But every single country I went to with the Mini 3 4K, it's under 250 grams. It stayed in my carry-on suitcase and it sailed right through the machine. They looked at it on the monitor where the person sits and looked through your whole bag. It got the green light. It's under 100 watt-hour battery. Nobody cares. It's under 250 grams and it just sailed on through customs. 2 years ago, we went to France and we took the Mini 3 with us with the portable screen that's built into the controller. That is a great controller. This one unfortunately doesn't have that, but it does have an ultra lightweight controller that expands out pretty far. Almost you could even fit like the iPad mini, the brand new iPad mini that came out, or one of the largest iPhones or Android phones out there. And we came back with some fantastic footage, but best of all, it fits inside this Crown Royal bag. Everything I needed here fit inside this bag. And again, just went in my suitcase. They asked us, do you have any alcohol or tobacco? And we said no. And we didn't have to declare this because this is not a bottle of Crown Royal. It's actually a little sub 250 drone ready for my tourist videos. And believe me, when you walk about 40,000 steps a day over cobblestones and you're climbing mountains and taking buses and trains and taxis, if you bring something along that's 250 grams that has at least 4K video, you're gonna thank me later. But for now, I wanna show you some of the most fantastic, beautiful vacation video I've ever gotten right here on this channel. This for me is a legendary moment in Cinque Terra, Italy, where they have 7 different little towns that you can hike back and forth through the mountains with your partner and see some amazing vistas. And if you do that hike, you definitely want to make sure that you bring something under 250 grams or something that you can fly in the area where you're not going to attract a lot of attention. And honestly, when we put this one up, nobody even really noticed or cared what we were doing because obviously this is a tourist drone. So let me show you how beautiful the video was. And I gotta say, I wanna say thank you, Rebecca, for giving me the courage to go ahead and fly too, because it was on the coast. It was a little bit windy that day and something under 250 grams on the coast with mountains and wind. I was a little bit skeptical about going up, but she was my spotter and we were able to come back with some of the most beautiful footage I think maybe I've ever shot, thanks to the Mini 3 4K. So with the video that we came back with, I'm happy to show you that now. Here we go. Welcome back. So at that point, we put the drone down. I made it back from my flight. Everything was perfect. We went and had dinner where the high tide comes up at the edge of this little town. And during high tide, you can't have dinner there. So we were lucky enough that it was low tide. We could have dinner right on the water. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. I was with the most beautiful girl in the world, and we ate sardines and seafood right there in Cinque Terra. And it was like one of those most special moments of my life. And what's really great about it too is the fact that I got to fly that day also. And I know I'm probably like you guys are, where like if I get to fly like once a day, I'm super happy. That makes me happy for the rest of the day. All I get is one flight, and it doesn't really matter to me what it is. It could be a cheap RC airplane. It could be something like the Hover Air X1 Pro. It could be an FPV drone, or maybe even my little Fimi Mini 3. So I am impressed that, again, I could fit this all in a Crown Royal bag. I didn't even 3D print anything. Originally, I had 3D printed something, and I had been really obsessed about weight reduction on my trip. And, I'm one of those people that I would go to Europe with something like a backpack. We saw people struggling with full-size suitcases, and it was just completely ridiculous. And in my mind, honestly, I didn't want to bring this controller because I thought this was a lot of extra weight. And it actually, without a battery, it feels heavier than the Fimi Mini 3 itself. But my biggest goal on that trip, aside from weight reduction, I didn't want to have fatigue and walking 40,000 steps a day. I wanted to enjoy myself on my trip and not have to worry about stuff. You know what I mean? Just go out there, eat, walk, hop trains, and not be burdened with all of this extra gear. And for the past 10 years, I have lugged so much heavy stuff around with me. I mean, you can get some smaller FPV style drones and take those too. We make little tiny Cinewhoops that are sub 250. Some are around 100 grams you could take even. But I wanted something, again, like that looks a little more touristy and that I just wouldn't be flagged on. So all in all, we had a fantastic trip. We did have kind of a hardship on the way home because we had to travel for about 36 hours. Thanks to British Airways, they made us miss our connection flight in the UK back to the United States. So rather than have to wait the next day, we had to book a flight that same day so that Rebecca could get back for a work meeting the very next day that she couldn't miss. So we had to book another flight, but the only connecting flight back to the US was straight to BC, then back to Seattle, and we didn't have a flight from Seattle back to Portland. So here we are, stuck in Seattle, having to buy another ticket on Delta and fly from Seattle back to Portland. So we made it, finally made it, all in one piece. All of our luggage and our little Fimi Mini 3 4K made it back. And I had a fantastic time with it, and I don't feel bad that I didn't take another drone from my collection. Because I'm one of those guys, I have all the coolest drones right here I could have taken with me on that trip. But again, I wanted to have something that looks like a tourist drone. And I think a tourist drone in this day and age is becoming more of a thing all the time, especially with all the paranoia out there about drones. So when the political climate changes, you kind of have to adapt to the times a little bit with some of that so that you don't accidentally get yourself red flagged or in some kind of trouble in another foreign country you've never been to before, because you never quite know how people are going to act. You can do all the research in the world on the internet and Facebook and the Facebook groups about it, but until you go there and a situation arises, you're not going to know how that foreign country customs is going to react to your drone. So my best advice to you, if you're taking a trip in late 2024 or 2025, find something small like the DJI Mini 3 4K, the Mini 4, or the Fimi Mini 3 4K. This is probably the one that I would take, being the political climate with the United States and DJI and all that espionage paranoia right now. But again, like this is a Chinese drone also. So, maybe this one falls right into the same bracket of paranoia as DJI drones, but who knows? I didn't have any problems with it. Sailed through 4 different countries and customs, and it didn't raise any red flags, and we just had a great time on our vacation. So that's what I would recommend to you and for you to do on your next vacation. If this information helped you out, please do become a Patreon on the channel, and please do subscribe, because we have more reviews and cool stuff coming up on the channel. More drones, more FPV drones too, even though some people see them as nefarious these days. We're not nefarious, we're a hobby channel. We're into it for the hobby side of things, and that's how we're gonna keep it. So thanks again for watching, guys. I'm Justin Davis. Take care, and I will see you on the next one.